Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Lee Clark 1-0.
Williams.
My first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing it.
Williams! Darren Williams for Sunderland.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Hignett with the ball. Go on, Higgy! You beauty! You Scouser Teesside beauty!
Worshipped every weekend. It's the three legends. Banter and rivalry across the North East. On the Toon, the Cat, the Red.
Good evening and welcome to the Three Legends. Lee Clark, Darren Williams, Craig Hignett with a very special guest tonight, John Hendrie. Good evening, gents.
Evening.
Evening all.
Guys.
Evening all. Evening, guys.
How are we doing? Are we all right?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, just recovering from a bit of a quiet week.
It's been a quiet week, hasn't it? Yeah, I mean, not much happening across the North East football. I wanted to start off with asking Craig a question, actually. With everything that's been going on, Craig, the Sunderland Echo on Wednesday had you down as 33-1 for the Sunderland job. Have you got anything to tell us?
Oh, get your money on it. Bang on everything you've got. Get it all on.
I'm already on it, Higgy. I'm already on it.
Yeah. Why do you think I'm 33-1? I keep going around telling people to bang on it, and I haven't even put in.
Arthur Cox used to say to me, lads, you never see a bookie riding a bike.
That is very true.
So yeah, I mean,
will be upset though because she's not winning anything.
I mean, how? I mean, it was a crazy week, and you know, we're on this little WhatsApp group that we've got for this group, and I think everyone's reaction was of immediate shock, wasn't it? I mean, has that shock died down?
I don't think it has, mate.
Well,
I don't think anybody can come to terms with it.
Sorry, Daz, go on.
Sorry, mate. I don't think anybody can come to terms with it, is it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
No, I think everyone spoke so highly of Tony. You know, some of you guys knew him a lot more personally than me, but I'd got to meet him, obviously playing against him over the years, but also managing against him. And his teams were he was always a developer of young players. His teams always played great football, front foot, and he was fitting the model that Sunderland wanted. And you know, it was with young players, you're always going to have ups and downs. We've spoke about it so many times on this show, you know, and it wasn't just one or two young players. He's got many of them. You know, they were losing Ross Stewart to Southampton. They weren't going out and buying a ready-made striker. They were then going buying out another youngster. So it was always about development, and he's probably been a victim of his own success, because for him to get them to the playoffs with that group of players, not saying they're not talented, they're very talented, but a group that's so young, I think they've got the youngest squad in the Championship. And I think once you get that, the expectation of people who don't really fully understand the game and that means that people above, it brings the expectation level to unrealistic levels, because you know, I know it's been a bit of an up and down, stop-start season this year, but you're going to get that with young players. So I think we're all in unison to say that we were very shocked, and we're obviously very sad, because we not only think he's a good manager, he's a good guy.
It's playoffs.
I think we run the risk now, though.
You know what I mean?
This is the thing, mate. I think we run the risk now, though. You know, you're probably going to lose some of your younger players. You know, Jack Clark's probably one who's going to be highlighted as, you know, possibly moving in January. You know, had Mowbray been there, you know, would we be able to keep hold of him? You know, they're looking elsewhere. You know, is this a sacking over the fact that, you know, he's asked a few questions, you know, of what direction the club's going in? You know, are we going to invest, you know, in the team, etc. You know, there's a lot of stories going about that. You know, those questions were asked, and then obviously, you know, you know, this has happened. Obviously, getting the sacking, you know, after the event. So
it looks weird, doesn't it? I mean, the timing of it looks weird.
Yeah,
it is weird, mate.
Who's made
totally
this
weird.
decision?
I mean, Well, I mean, exactly, mate. You know, this is the thing, and I don't think we'll ever, John. I don't think we'll ever come to the conclusion of what's exactly gone on. You know, because I don't think anybody's going to be honest enough to say, you know, that this happened. You know, this is the reasons why. You know, there's always going to be two sides to the story, isn't there? But you know, it's just like Higgy. I think you're right. You know, it's a very strange time. You know, we got West Brom tomorrow. We've got Leeds on Tuesday. You know, they're two tough games, mate. And you know, and you're 3 points off the playoffs, and you know, it's coming up to the busiest time of the season, really.
And if that was going to happen, though, Daz, wouldn't you think that there'd be someone lined up already? You know, if you're going to do it, then there's another process now where they might be without a manager for 2 weeks, and like you say, the big games are coming thick and fast.
Exactly, mate. And this is the thing, you know, and this is what you're saying. You know, it's kind of been done. Has it been done on the back of, you know, Tony asking questions, you know, and you know, saying it, you know, are we getting us? You know, are we going to go in for another strike? Are we getting this? You know, what we're doing? You know, what? You know, where's the direction in this? You know, because it seems to have just come out the blue, mate. And like you say, you know, it's a very strange time to do it.
I think his knowledge of the game, of the league, and everything else will be missed by the football club. If you look through, who's in charge at this moment in time? What experience have they got? What knowledge have they got? That's the question I want to know.
They brought in a lad called Mike Dodds, John. I know Mike Dodds, very well. He came with Christian Speakman, the sporting director. They were both at Birmingham. They worked in the academy when I was Birmingham City manager. Mike's a good coach of young players as well. But I think that's what he is. I think he's a coach. We all know we've had lads who've been great coaches and who've worked with us, and then they've had a go at management. It hasn't been for them because their coaching is a different type of mentality to being the manager or the head coach. And Mike certainly isn't that. And I agree with what Higgy and Daz are saying is, you know, it's strange that they haven't got someone straight away lined up, because you're talking about probably the busiest time of the season coming up now. Games coming at you thick and fast every 3 days up until second week in Jan. You know, games that can make or break your season. Daz has just pointed out 3 points only outside of the playoffs. Obviously, you know, an exciting cup tie for the region as well coming in the first week in Jan. And it just seems strange that they haven't got someone. This is the last time you want an interim manager stroke head coach. And you know, Mike, I'm not knocking Mike at all in terms of his qualities as a coach. He's a terrific coach, but it's the completely different ball game when you're the head coach and you're calling the shots, and you know, you see things a little bit different. I've been through all them levels. I think me and Higgy Harvers have gone through the management. We've been a coach, we've been an assistant manager. It's completely different when you become the number one and all the final decisions are on your head, and you know, you die or fall by your decisions. And that's what, you know, I know Mike spoke about the day I listened to his press conference and saying last time he had it when it didn't go so well. This is completely different, but I still think it's a massive call for them to keep with an interim head coach.
Lee, who's the other guy that you mentioned there, the sporting director?
It's Christian Speakman. He was the academy director, John, when I was at Birmingham, and Mike Dodds worked under him, like under 18s, under 16s, coach development.
And was Speakman's experience?
This is his first time ever at first team level. This is his first job at first team. He's academy. He was an academy director before that, pal.
Right. I think you've got Michael Proctor, who's going to be alongside Doddsy as well, isn't there? I think Michael Proctor's going to stand by Dodgy, but again, you know,
Mark Venus has gone, hasn't he?
They're both gone. They're both gone. They have. Yeah.
But again, you look at the levels, isn't it?
I'll tell you a story about the owner. Is it Kirill, the owner? I mean, he's was he still in his 20s? I was a good friend of mine. He's got a coaching program where a coach American lads come over and a program in Leeds, and he was in the system as one of the lads. And we barely saw him, to be honest with you. Didn't touch up. He was just there for the education, turning up at very few coaching things. Then 2 years later, we hear he's became the owner of Sunderland, and we thought, huh? So that added to the sporting director's experience. You're thinking, these guys are making decisions, and I'm just scratching my head. It makes it more unbelievable. It makes it more amazing.
Totally, I have to say, listen, the model that Sunderland have got and the way they're going about it, I actually like. I like the model that they've got. You know, the bringing of young players through, and I think the next coach they'll go for will be a young coach, and I think he might be foreign. I think
they are looking at the foreigners, aren't they?
I just think that's the way they'll go. Yeah. You'll be able to bring him in. He will just coach the players. They'll be able to bring the players in and give them to the manager who's used to working with that model. I like the model of young players, but you know, every now and again you need a little sprinkling of really good senior players who can show them the right path, if you like, and can be a steadying influence. They're going to struggle to get anyone like Tony.
That was Tony's game. That was Tony's game.
They're going to struggle to get anyone like Tony and as calm as Tony.
I was just going to say that the criteria they're reading out for the new head coach, Tony ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally, mate, 100%.
But that's what makes you think it can't just be a football-only decision.
Well, I go along with what Darren's saying. I think Tony's thought, right, you know, I want to push this group on. I want to make them even better. And like you just said there, Higgy, sometimes making them better isn't just about coaching them all the time. You've got to get a next couple of experienced players in and say, listen, these lads have had great careers. This is why they're still playing at this level. Watch what they do. I was listening to something on LFC TV this morning, and it was about Gary McAllister was talking about when Gerard Houllier brought him in. And Houllier said to him, yeah, Gary won't always be picked, but I want you to show the young players, the top young players I've got, what you've got to do Monday to Friday to become a top player. And he says, obviously, then young players went on to have unbelievable careers. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what Tony's probably asked. Hey, all right, you've got ambitions to get back in the playoffs, but you've got to give us a hand with. I can't keep working with an untried 17-year-old, an untried 18-year-old. They're not always going to come off, are they?
No.
Yeah. But it's
exactly.
the saying.
Exactly.
Every club's only as good as its senior pros. It's an old saying. The senior pros. Every club is only as good as the senior pros, because they'll help the manager in the dressing room when the manager and coach is not there all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, and the be good examples, John, to those young players who are just starting out. What it takes to be a top pro, how you behave, how you perform, what you've got to do away from the pitch, what you know, how you recover, all these type of things, and they all add up. Because the manager, like you say, he can't be in and around them 24/7. So it's important, like you say, top experienced lads in there.
The one thing I hope is that whoever comes in doesn't try and change it straight away overnight, and doesn't try and move the football from what it is now to what he wants it to be straight away. We've seen it with Birmingham. We all know what's gone on at Birmingham. John Eustace had them go in a certain way. Wayne Rooney's come in, changed the total style. They're having a real struggle to try and get results. You know, it'd be a real shame if that was to happen with Sunderland, because they've been on and up since, you know, they got in the playoffs last year, which was unbelievable. They've started the season really well, there or thereabouts again. I think, you know, come the end of it, they would have been there or thereabouts had Tony have stayed. My thoughts are, if they were thinking of making a change, then do it at the end of the season.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
If you are thinking of making a change, there's nothing wrong with what's going on now. It's bubbling along nicely. Yes, they've had one or two dodgy ones, but which team doesn't?
Yeah.
I sat and watched Borough absolutely demolish Preston 4, and Preston were in the playoffs at the time. They were so poor. Every team has got the capability of doing that in the Championship. It's such a tight league. Just stick with it. And if by the end of the season they don't get into the playoffs, then there's your opportunity to say, we didn't get into the playoffs and we're going to make a change.
Well, this is the thing, mate. Nothing, you know, technically they're not going to get relegated. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously they're going in the right direction. Yeah, they have a couple of slips every now and then. You know, like you say, potentially if they don't make the playoffs, you know, you get to the end of the season, you say, look, thanks very much, Tony, you know, we're going to go in this direction, blah, blah. But to do it at this stage of the season, it's just bizarre. Seriously, honestly, can I get my head around it?
Do you think it's maybe that something has gone wrong then? Something, you know, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about Jack Clark going, and whether that would be that was the catalyst in Mowbray saying, well, you know, you're going to sell our best players, then I'm going. Or do you think there was still fallout because at the end of the season there was lots of rumours, wasn't there, that they were going to replace him at the end of last season, and you know that's still a fallout from that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always still been something there, hasn't there? Do you know what I mean? You know, there's always been that niggly thing in the background. You know, he gets them at the playoffs. Fantastic first season back in the championships. Then there's rumours going about, obviously they're looking elsewhere. Obviously Tony gets wind of it, which obviously he's going to. It's publicly announced in the press. Yeah. So there's always that unsettlement between.
But didn't he have that thing in the contract where he had to get another year because he'd got them in the playoffs, and he didn't even know about it, did he?
No, he didn't. No, this is the thing. He didn't know that was going to be the activation was in there. And this is the thing. For me, it's as a manager, if you don't know activations in there, like what's going on? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it was almost like they had to keep him. Wasn't it? Even though he'd done a brilliant job.
Exactly, mate. I mean, who's to say that? Obviously, if that activation wasn't in there, they may have got rid of him then. You just don't know. But obviously, because that's kicked in, they may be thinking, "Oh, hang on a second, this is going to cost us a bit here." But
what's their aspirations then, without spending a fortune? So they want Premier League football with young kids and just developing young kids.
This is the thing. I mean, I personally believe, obviously, Tony's obviously been in there and started asking questions. You know what I mean? Where are we going? What's the direction? What's the plan here? Because basically, like you say, they haven't replaced Ross Stewart. We're working on a low budget for the Championship in comparison with a lot of teams. He's working with a lot of young players, and there seems to be, you get the transfer when it's either the young guys or it's people on loan or it's people who we can maybe get for free. I just don't feel as though he's had the support. I'd like to think he did. If he did, God knows, we could be in talking about a different scenario now.
And none of his centre forwards have scored. Is that right?
No, they haven't got one goal, mate, between them.
So there's still 3 points off a playoff spot with no centre forward scoring goals.
With no centre, yeah. It's crazy.
Higgy, you've got Jack Clark with 10 goals. After that, the second top scorers and 3 goals. Neil and Belling were on 3 goals apiece. Just those 3.
Yeah,
just those
but
two.
I'm on about the strikers, John. Everyone wants a striker to score goals, don't they? Even if he pitches in with 4 or 5, it's not prolific, but it adds to it, doesn't it?
And
whereas all these clubs, if you look at all the top clubs, they've all got goal scorers, centre forwards who score goals regular, week in, week out, and they're all the successful ones. All the ones who are up there have got centre forwards who score goals. If you've got Jack Clark chipping in with 10 goals from a wide area, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
but he shouldn't really.
Tony's been saying that in recent weeks. I think it was his last 3 games. I mean, there was the Plymouth game. The 24 shots and goal, didn't score. Huddersfield 27 shots and goal, or at goal, didn't score. So there's what was that for? Over 50 shots at goal, and they scored 1 goal. So, and even the last game, they did 61% in possession against Millwall. So they've been dominating games. But it's just
the goalkeeper took 10 of them shots.
hey, listen, you used to shoot from anywhere just so to know on your stats.
It's all about stats, mate. It's all about the data these days.
You're totally right there, John. I mean, they have dominated games on numerous occasions, but they end up conceding, sloppy goals. I mean, the Millwall goal, at the weekend, 09's got no idea. Where the forward is. You've got Hume in behind 09 who can actually see the picture, and it doesn't look like he even speaks to him. And they concede a sloppy goal, really, in all fairness. It's just they do dominate and they are good players, and it's just, and Tony hasn't gone in the right direction. Just give him that extra support, where he needs it up top. When you lose striker, Middlesbrough the same, when you lose strikers, it affects you, but it's not affected us that much. We considering we're 3 points out the promotion zone.
Yeah. And it wasn't critical either. I mean, Tony's quoted. What was his quote? He says, "I've got young players up front learning on the job."
Yeah,
learning on the job. He says they're not ready, but they're learning on the job, and that's what he's forced to do, because of injuries and what have you.
Of course. Yeah.
It is a strange one, and obviously the list of people, including yourself, Higgy, has been published quite a lot this week. Who do we think is a possibility? I mean, just a couple of messages before we go into that. Actually, Colin from Sunderland has said he has lost all faith in Speakman and those behind the scenes at the club. He is in despair. He says, "Poor Andy." And Colin in Sunderland as well has said this is a shocking decision. Do the board realistically think they will get better than Mogger? Who is better than Mogger, and who can come in and pick this team up?
Well, do they need picking up? It's very rare you'll go into a job where the team is 3 points off a playoff spot, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
good point.
Exactly.
And you'd see the fans saying it's the best football I've seen in years. Some of the football, Mogger's brand of football was some of the best. They've got the young lads who they were all getting behind. I don't see any red flags at Sunderland, if that makes sense. I don't see anything to be worried about, and that's why it's come as such a big shock, because normally when a manager gets a sack, they go through a really bad run, the fans are on his back because they don't like the way he plays football, or another reason, but there's no reasons I can see for the actions. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I side with Daz, and maybe behind the scenes, it's not a footballing reason. It might be they've had a clash or they've had words, or something to that effect has happened, because it doesn't stack up with it being just a football reason. It can't be, in my book.
A lot of the reporting guys, what I'm hearing is they look like they could be going down a young foreign coach.
Yeah.
That's the reports.
Yeah, well, that's what I think, Clarky. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I'd said it earlier. I think
they're going to go with that. And what constitutes that, what backs that up, is what John's saying as well, is that obviously the owner's a young lad. He's probably got all kinds of people in his ear, so-called advisors, do this, do that, and all of a sudden, we'll go to the the foreign market and get a young coach from there who's going to develop the young players. So, but it looks that way. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, as you say, British managers on that list, but I don't know. I think this could be the time where they do go down the route of a foreign coach.
If I was a betting man now, I bet you, obviously they're 3 points out of the playoffs now, I bet it'll be a hell of a lot more come the summer, come the end of the season. My money will be straight on that at bookies. For me,
been a bit to say about that Kim Hellberg or something. Kim Hellberg,
yeah,
Swedish guy,
obviously talks have started with him. Yeah,
but again, that's a massive. That's a massive jump for him, isn't it? I mean, Will Still was another one, wasn't it?
There's been a lot of talk about Will Still.
Yeah, he's another one. But Schumacher at Plymouth, who's done a decent job. But listen, it just makes no sense to me, unless they're going to have a rethink about the manager, want to bring in a younger manager, want to bring in a foreign influence. That might be the way they go, developing kids, not really having a say in who comes into the football club. Leave that to the hierarchy, the director of football or the head of football operations. Maybe that's the way it's going. It's
but there was this talk as well, Higgy, from Speakman, it being in the past. We've got a succession plan. We do it for head coaches just like we do for players. We look to the future. So you shouldn't be having to, you get rid of Tony. What was it, 4 or 5 days ago, and then you let an interim coach, manager be the head coach. If that's the case, why not within 48 hours you've got someone in place ready to go?
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's strange.
You can't waste games.
Yeah. No, you saw that with Sheffield United this week, didn't you? Chris Wilder going in the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without
there was no games in there. No one had to be caretaker charge. He was straight in.
Yeah. You look what Swansea have done. Swansea have, got rid of Michael Duff on the same day as Mogger, and they've gone straight to Tottenham for their assistant manager. Now that might take a little bit of time because Tottenham have rejected it because they think highly of him, but it looks like eventually it'll get done. But at least Swansea have made a move and gone, he's our man, we want him. And that'll take a bit of negotiating because he's in a Premier big Premier League club as an assistant manager. But at least they've gone, bosh, that's what we want to do. Whereas they might say the powers that be, we are doing things, we just we're keeping it low key. But I don't know, you get this game out the way. You got a midweek fixture next week, Daz?
Leeds, mate, Leeds.
So you know,
easy game.
Even if
hey, by the way, if you're the next gaffer as well, you're like, well, I'll come in after that one.
Yeah. I'll give that a miss.
No, Higgy, it's I'll come in on January the 8th after that cup time.
Yeah, after Newcastle.
That's when I'll be coming back.
Well, I think we'll talk about that cup draw in a little wee while. Thank you so much, gents. You can get in touch with the show on 033 or 043 2002 to have your say. If you want to chat to the legends as well, it's the same number. It's a WhatsApp. It's 033 or 043 2002, and we'll chat more North East footy right after this.
Whoa, Celestial windows. Whoa, Celestial windows. Whoa, Celestial windows. Whoa, Celestial windows. Windows, conservatories, and so much more. With high security, great quality, the company you've been searching for. Whoa, Celestial windows. Whoa, Celestial windows.
Why do clients choose Ather & Co?
Very diligent, very caring, put themselves in my shoes.
Always informed me, kept me up to date of what was going on.
Didn't feel I had anything to worry about, and I had nothing to do other than turn up for a medical. Athers did the rest.
For the full story, see athers.co.uk/reviews.
Choose the one you know, Ather & Co.
This is Elton John. Hello, I'm Phil Collins.
Hi, this is Lionel Richie.
This is not just any old 80s show. Join me for 80s Mint. 2 hours of the best 80s music and memories. Right here, every Saturday night from 9 and Mondays from 6.
It's the three legends across the Northeast. Clark, legend. Williams, legend. Hignett, legend. WhatsAppers, call or send a voice message. Banter at its best. 033 00 43 2002.
Right across the Northeast, the Tune, the Cat and the Red.
Brian from Newcastle has been in touch on the WhatsApp. He said, legends, can we not just spend the whole hour just laughing at the Mackhams? I think that's a bit harsh, that, Brian. Anyway, it has been quite an interesting week in North East football. Really interesting cup draw.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's
that's the matches out
now. No, listen.
No, John, come on.
Hey, listen, I watched Newcastle last night. They've got a chance, Sunderland, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're right. That was a poor performance, Higgy. No, listen, these are the games I think the public want to see. I'm a big advocate of getting the three clubs all together, back together in the Premier League. The fans want to be part of these games again. So that cup draw was fantastic, I think, for both as well. And it, especially with it given, not being disrespectful, being at Sunderland, it gives them a much better chance, doesn't it, as well? And as Higgy said, at the moment, these injuries they're starting to take their toll, because Eddie's having to pick the same 10 players, outfield players, game in, game out, every 2 or 3 days. They look shot to pieces in the second half, Newcastle. Kieran Trippier, 2 uncharacteristic mistakes from him for the goals. And Everton thoroughly deserved the result. But Newcastle just looked shot to pieces. I'm going down Sunday to London to watch them against Spurs, who themselves aren't on a great run. But, we need to just keep going and try and pick up some results while the walking wounded can come back. We're not getting any information that there's any of them going to be back in the none too distant future. So unfortunately, these lads are just going to have to keep going.
Seems like
massive
out for ages, don't they, though, Clarkie?
Yeah.
It is a massive month, John. I mean, obviously you've got this one on Sunday, Spurs, and then you've got AC Milan to try and either sneak through the back door of qualification in the Champions League or take that third place to go into the Europa League draw in the new year, you know. So, and then obviously Fulham at home, Luton, and then Forest, Boxing Day, Liverpool,
Chelsea in the quarter final.
In the Cup, Chelsea, sorry, I've even forgot about that. So you've got to squeeze that in. And to be honest, John, I mean, it's just decimating with this injury list. And it got obviously summed up with Nick Pope as well, with his dislocation of his shoulder, him probably going to miss the rest of the season.
Yeah. Even before the injuries, even before the injuries, we were questioning whether the squad would be big enough because of sheer amount of games.
Without a doubt, John. Us lads have talked about that over the last few weeks. I've said it. I've said even if we had everyone fit and available, in terms of what we're having to compete in, the Premier League, Champions League, Eddie's right up for both the cup competitions. We still had a small squad, so that now, you look at the bench, man. We've got 2 goalkeepers on there. We've got 3 defenders and 4 untried youngsters. The 4 youngsters, I think, have got 4 minutes between them. And it's just, you can see that game going away from you on last night at Goodison. And as a manager and his coaching team, you'd probably go, well, I need to change this. I need to do something a bit different. But Eddie's probably turned round and went, what can I do? He's got Matt Ritchie. He's probably the most... Matt Ritchie's probably the most attack-minded player on the bench. And he's even played most of his last few years as a full-back stroke wing-back. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like... And then you've seen the mistake and you just seen the lads that just basically ran out of steam. And it's going to be a tough period. They've just got to try and fight. I mean, listen... The results against Man U and Chelsea, Eddie said it last night, good job our home form's been as good as it has been, because our away form is quite poor this season, to be honest, especially in the Premier.
Has Christmas been kind to them then, Clarkie? If you get these 2 games out of the way, the Tottenham and Milan ones, and then you look at Fulham on the 16th, they've got that quarter-final at Chelsea, 19th, but then you've got Luton away and Forest at home. Is that a kind Christmas period, considering the players that they might have out and whoever might be able to come back?
It all depends, Higgy, though. Exactly, it all depends, because the same 10 outfield players which have started the last 4 games, and he only really made changes. He gave the youngsters a couple of minutes in injury time when they were 4-1 up against Chelsea. So he hasn't really made any. He didn't make a substitution in Paris. He stuck. I know he had to stick Richie and Emile Kraft on last night because Lascelles looked like he was limping, so we don't know what's happened with him, Lascelles. So it's all about the bodies, because the games are over the Christmas period just come thick and fast. You're getting back from an away game, then you're thinking, 24 hours time, we've got another game. Do you know what I mean? And it's especially there's stuff riding on it. Like you've got Sunday, you want to get that performance and result out the system down at Goodison. Then you come out of that game Sunday and you're thinking, right, our European future for this season depends on the Milan match here at St James's. Can we win and get a result that goes for elsewhere to get through the back door in the Champions League, or can we just at least win and make sure we get 3rd place and win Europa League, And then you have a different set of problems for the second half of the season with all the games you've got in the Europa League, So,
Clarkie, did you see them spending money in January?
I do, mate, but I think they're probably the most cautious club in the country in terms of financial fair play, because they don't want to be seen as overspending. They don't want to be seen. No doubt. Listen, they've got ridiculous amounts of money, but it's trying to stick to the rules. But like Eddie's saying, it's changing game by game, because at the minute, if he said if it was January the 1st now, he'd be going to Dan Ashworth and saying, I need a new keeper, I need a new right back, I need 2 centre backs, I need a left back, I need 2 midfield players, I need 2 wingers, I need another striker, because all them positions on the pitch are being decimated with injury. So he's saying he's having to wait till the last few days before January, the window opens, to think, right, who's coming back? Is anyone back in the squad before January the 1st? There's some back on the training pitch with the group. But, I'm looking at the list of players who've been out, and even if we get one or two back on the grass, say before Sunday's game, are they going to be fit and ready to play 90 minutes because they've all been out quite long term? Do you know what I mean?
Clark, it sounds as if you think that the top 4 chance, you think that's gone. Obviously Arsenal, Liverpool and City, you think they're nailed on.
No,
surprise this week was Villa.
Listen, Villa, you know what, and you remember this, guys, even before we previewed the game, and I said I'd be worried when we played Villa first game, and then even though we won 5-1, I said it was a weird game because Villa still looked good in that game, even though Newcastle won that first game 5-1. I think Newcastle were just clinical that day. They took all their chances, but Villa still looked a big threat, and so it's they've done terrifically well. We're 4 points off it at the minute, but as you say, John, there's big clubs holding them top 4 positions now, and you cannot see them. They're just getting stronger and stronger. Listen, Man City are on a bit of a blip for them, aren't they? So, but you see them coming out of that quickly and just go. They're a team that can go and win like 10, 15 games on the bounce, like, you know what I mean? So, hey, listen, it was always going to be a tough call, but I think Eddie's they've handled it really well. I think the players and Eddie, but obviously there's been a few questions after last night's performance and result, and I just personally think it's took its toll on the players, both mentally and physically, without a doubt.
We've got a message WhatsApp here from Jim in Durham. He said, so now that Newcastle are a point behind Man United, does that mean that Eddie Howe has lost the dressing room? And after the petulant end to the game last night, does the Newcastle squad think that they're better than they are?
No, I don't think they're better than they are. It's just the circumstances with all the injuries as such. And it tells a story in itself. What we said there with all those players out. With 12 minutes to go, it's still 0-0. Yeah. They're still in the game. And it's like, if you're an away manager going to any Premiership game, you look and say, right, okay, first hour we'll keep it tight, then we'll sort of we'll be a wee bit more attacking minded, change things around the last 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so. But they've not got that option as such. And you can see that when you're in that situation, you've got to score first. You've got to get the first goal, and then you think, okay, we'll get the first goal here, and we'll just shut up shop here and keep the shape. Everyone just do their job. But if you concede the first goal, it just totally deflates the boys.
I think majority of teams who have that injury list would probably struggle. Would find it really, really difficult. And obviously the demand of games. I'm obviously listening to Clark there, and obviously going through the list of injuries. And I'm personally just emailed the FA and see if we can bring the cup game forward a little bit.
But do you want to play it on Christmas Day?
If when you want your squad the fullest, it's Christmas, isn't it? Because there's so many games that are coming. Exactly. That's when you want everyone fit, and Newcastle haven't had anyone fit. I think it's been going on for about 2 months now, Clarky, hasn't it? Where they just keep losing player after player, and it doesn't really seem to get any better. There's no players coming back, and you don't hear of, well, we're going to have him back by Saturday or him back. It's just constant bad news of players are injured, another player's injured, and like you say, Lascelles might even be out now for the game at the weekend. What will he do there?
We have got a little bit of Eddie Howe's press conference post the Everton game and pre the Tottenham one. This is what he had to say.
Eddie's a very quick turnaround. What have you said to the players?
I let them know that my thoughts on the performance, really. Without going into too much detail, I always think you need that honesty. I always give it to them in a positive way, but I think then you need to do the same, so you're consistent. But I think they know, they don't need telling. I think they know today we were off our best levels, and that cost us the match.
What do you think it will take to get something against Spurs, to cure those kind of away day blues?
Well, I think it would need a very similar performance to last year, where we were excellent. We were at our best defensively. We were at our best in attack as well. That was a memorable day, and that gave us a really big lift for what was ahead. It came at a key stage of the season, so we certainly know the importance of this match.
Will they be up for it against Tottenham on Sunday, do you think?
Well, yeah, I don't think that question can be put to them. I think they've shown a great attitude all the time. I don't think that was why they lost the game last night. I think as I said, there was other different circumstances, but they're going to have to be. Listen, this is probably the time to be going to Tottenham as well. Last 5 fixtures, they've lost 4 and drew 1.
Exactly,
you know, I watched a bit of their game last night. You know, lads, I've just quickly wrote down, I might be missing 1 or 2, but this is the list of players, right? This could be your team. Nick Pope in goal, Matt Targett left back, Dan Burn, Sven Botman centre backs, Ashby right back or Manquillo, Longstaff, Tonali, Elliot Anderson midfield 3, Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy and Callum Wilson. That could be your 11. That'd probably stay up in the Premier League at 11, wouldn't it?
Joe Willock.
Yeah. Willock, you've got Willock, guy, exactly. So even more. It's like, it's ridiculous, John. So, you know, any club, you kind of tell me, even if Man City are losing that calibre of player, or a Liverpool or an Arsenal, they lose that calibre of player and that number of player, it's not going to affect them. And they're just
Clarky, what do you put it down to? Do you put it down to bad luck, the injuries, or is there more to it?
I do, mate, because I think some of them, when I look at a lot of them, it's like some have happened on international duty. You've got Jacob Murphy and Pope, dislocated shoulders. I mean, Callum Wilson, unfortunately, he's always had an injury history, hasn't he, throughout his career? If you look, when he was at Coventry, when he was at Bournemouth, you know, we had the injury problems. He finds it difficult to complete the full season. Harvey Barnes never had an injury until he come to us. What was it, 10 minutes into his first start of this season? Bosch at Sheffield United, no innocuous, broke a bone in his foot. So just strange, mate. Dan Burn doing his back. The Tonali incident, look at that one. You lose a player for the full season. You know, so hey, what I've liked about them, they haven't cried or whinged over it. They've just they said, this is what we've got to crack on, and they have had brilliant results in that run. You know, when we all agree they should have got a win at Paris Saint-Germain. That was taken out their hands. Beat Chelsea and Man United at home. It's just been, obviously, I think they're just a number of games and it's catching up with them, you know.
But Spurs, they've got a good few injuries as well. And Ange Postecoglou,
no, John, I think it's a good time to go there.
Yeah. He's not Monty, so we'll just go on with it. Yeah, just Clark, I've got a question. Obviously, the cup draw. How many time weird derbies did you play in?
Oh, well, must have been 15 to 20, John.
Really?
15 to 20. Aye, something like that. Aye.
And what was your favourite memories?
Well, we once went to Roker Park, where there was meant to be no fans allowed, away fans, and we won 2-1. Les Ferdinand and Peter Beardsley scored, but there was little scuffles breaking out all over the stadium as the goals went in. So there must have been some crazy Geordies sneaked into Roker Park that night. Yeah, I mean, there was one where we beat them 1-0, and the game should have never been played. The pitch at St James's was waterlogged. Scott Sellers scored a free kick, brilliant free kick with his left foot. But it was two things. If it hadn't been a local derby and it hadn't been on TV, when in those days there wasn't a lot of live TV games happening, it would have got called off. But I'm sure the police have said to everybody, the referee, get this game on, because they would have had to call it off like 20 minutes before kick-off. Do you know what I mean? So the police have probably thought there's no chance that we want Newcastle Sunderland fans together. And we've had to call the game off, and we're letting them out this ground in our own devices. So just get this game played. The ball couldn't even travel 2 yards when you were passing it, man. It was crazy.
Really? Was that the roughest one?
So yeah, I mean, like when I went back after the T-shirt incident, we beat them when Shearer scored his last game. We beat them 4-1. At the Stadium of Light, but it's they're great games, John. Honestly, the same with when Newcastle play Borough. You know, I know there's this humour that it's not a derby, and the players love it, the fans love it. Yeah. You know, I love being a part of it. The build up to the game. You know when you're playing these games, performance means absolutely diddly squat. It's the result. You could play the best game you've had of the season and you lose, and nobody talks about your performance. It's about winning these games. That's all that matters.
Of course it is.
Yeah. special.
So I'm delighted. I was buzzing when the draw
special
happened.
Days, weren't they?
As I keep saying, I would love the 3 clubs to be back. Love the 3 clubs to be back in the Premier League.
There's still a chance of a Newcastle Borough Cup game, isn't there? That's still on the cards in the Carabao Cup.
Could be the semi-final.
Yeah.
All right,
just wait to the final for that, eh?
Yeah, that would be even better. Joining us on the line is Ian Mercer from Black and White and Red All Over. Good evening, Ian. Do you have a fond memory of a Tyne-Weir derby?
There was some very dramatic ones, weren't there, Darren? I mean, everyone remembers the 5-1 when Sholo Amiobi's possibly greatest ever game for Newcastle. But then, since incredibly, Newcastle have only won one since then, although we haven't had many for years. Sunderland, they had 3-0 wins, but the one that stands out from a Sunderland point of view, I would think, would be that 1-0 when Jermaine Defoe scored that worldie, and he walked off the pitch at half time in tears because he was so moved by the noise, by the sheer moment, But I mean, both sides.
Volley, Ian?
That's right. Yeah, it was quite incredible.
I was at the game.
Both sets of supporters. The great thing is they've got their own special memories, but they've also got their own particular nightmares as well.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Ian, what have we got coming up on the show tonight at 7?
Well, lads, have you done your Christmas shopping yet?
No, it's all done.
We have got a Hoover.
It's all done, wrapped.
Well, I'll tell you.
All right, Joey Barton there. That Joey Barton there. You bought that for Linda, John.
The reason I'm asking, my first guest is a lad called Mick Edmondson. Now, 20 years ago, Mick opened the shop, the Back Page. Indeed, it's 20 years old this week. And I've got Mick on, not to give him a free advert, I wouldn't do that, I'm not nice enough to do that, but because I want to talk about the merchandise, because he's got a shop in Newcastle and he's got a shop in the Metro Centre, and it's not just about Newcastle paraphernalia. He's, Middlesbrough Sunderland fans are welcome there. You've got books of every club in the country, and, I would say to all our listeners and to the three of you, if there's any last minute presents, there's nothing better than getting a sporting autobiography in there.
Mertz, he's a good friend of mine, but don't let him tell you he's the top ever goal scorer at St Anthony's Primary School in Walker. He was a couple of years before me. I took over that title, but he keeps saying he's still number one.
I'll mention that when he can ring in if you want, Clark. But funny enough, he said he had Sunderland are playing West Brom tomorrow and Middlesbrough playing Ipswich, and he said it's quite a coincidence he's on this week because he had trials at both those clubs. So I'm looking forward to having a chat with Mick. I think he'll be pretty knackered because I know he was working up to midnight on Wednesday and he was down in Goodison Park yesterday. Anyway, my second guest is someone you'll all know, is Simon O'Rourke of Time Tees. He'll be heading home from work just about now, and he'll be on after 7:30 to talk about a pretty eventful week in the world of North East football.
Thank you, Ian. It's going to be a good one. It's Black and White and Red all over, and it comes up at 7 o'clock after this show. Thanks, Ian, and we'll chat to you in a little bit.
Ian.
Good luck, Ian.
Cheers, Ian.
Cheers, Ian.
All right, we'll move on to the Borough now. We'll have a chat about the Borough versus Ipswich. Which Borough team's going to turn up this weekend, do we think?
John, were you at Leeds at the weekend?
Yeah, I was at the Preston game as well, Higgy, then the Leeds one.
Yeah.
And obviously, before the Leeds game on Saturday at Ellen Road, bearing in mind Leeds had already won 6 and a bounce at home. And for me, arguably, they've got the best firepower in the division. The front four, at this moment in time, the front four, they all complement each other and they're on fire. And basically, before then as well, I mean, Borough's trips down to the southwest, I think they conceded 8 goals in 3 games. So I thought, hey, this has got to be a goal fest here. This has got to be, and of course, right for the first few minutes,
it was unbelievable.
It was brilliant. It was great entertainment, and it was about 3-2 at half time to Leeds. And honestly, it could have been 5-5. It was that good. It was just an open, entertaining game. I mean, it was Latte laugh. I mean, he got a couple in the first half. He could have had 4 or 5 in the first half.
Yeah,
it was just one of those different opportunities. But no, so Borough, they're doing all right attacking wise, but it's just at the back end. they're struggling just now. But that comes down to, again, injuries. And I said that before. I said they've got a makeshift defence here. They're going into this game with loads of injuries as such. Can they handle the Leeds front four that I just mentioned? And no, they couldn't. They couldn't.
But you can't keep conceding 3 goals away from home, can you, John? Yeah, it's the last 3 away games now. They've conceded 3 gols
on the bounce.
That's
right. But but you go through them with the back four. It was a whole back four. Been missing it. Lenham's out for the season. Tommy Smith's out. Fry's out. McNair came off after 30 minutes. So then you're thinking it's like
Engel, is he struggling?
Engel, yeah. I mean, there's a whole back four there has been out, and it's the exact same situation as Newcastle with injuries. And you're thinking, well, okay, you're okay going, and it doesn't help as well in the second half when you think, okay, they're still in with a chance here. Then they go down to 10 men when Dick gets sent off. So it's if they can shut the back door, then they've always got a chance because they've got players in the team that will get you goals. Obviously, you've got Crooks in there as well. He's a threat for midfield just for his sheer presence. If he's not scoring, he'll certainly create opportunities. But
John, what do you make of Latty Lath? Because I've watched him a couple of times, and he's a nuisance. He's got a bit of pace about him. He seems to always get chances, but he doesn't always take them. But what have you made of him when you've watched him? Because he looks to be the biggest threat of the centre forwards. You know, Josh Coburn does a great job of holding it up, working really hard. But Latty Lath to me looks like he'll score more goals than Josh.
Yeah. Well, certainly in the evidence of Saturday, I think that's the most threatening that I've seen him on Saturday. He got himself into good positions as such. And it's one of them, as you say, if he gets a run in the team, you think, okay, we're getting 10 games here, have a run at it. Maybe at the back of his mind, he thinks, okay, I'm not a regular as such, or I'm not going to be playing the whole game here as such. Maybe he's thinking he's got a little doubt at the back of his mind. But certainly on Saturday, that's the most threatening that I've seen him. And he could have had 4 or 5 goals. But little Jones as well. You saw the Preston game, Higgy. The 2 goals he scored that evening were absolute top drawer.
The difference with me with Isaiah Jones is when Isaiah Jones goes and drifts, he looks much more dangerous. He made a few runs through the middle of the pitch against Preston, got in a few times, should have scored another one when he was in one-on-one. Couldn't sort his feet out in time. But when he goes and makes them runs in the middle of the pitch, he adds something else to his game. I think Isaiah Jones has got everything he needs. All he's missing is goals. If he adds goals and he gets 10 a season, he's going to be worth a few quid. But too often he drifts out of games, and that's just because he stays out wide right and just stays there, doesn't come in and get involved, doesn't make runs off the ball, sort of waits for the ball to come to him. Whereas I think if he gets, even when the ball's over the left-hand side, if he gets himself involved in the middle of the pitch making runs through, I think he'll score a bucket load of goals, because he does everything else. His defensive work's great, helps his full-back, works back, positive when he's got the ball mostly. The times he's not, you can tell, because that's when, for me, doesn't look as threatening. You know, when he gets the ball and he's all too ready to go backwards. I think when he's positive, he looks so much better.
Yeah. Well, what was evident against the Preston match was those 2 goals. They were strikers' finishes. They were top drawer finishes. It was just one was a little dink. The one he missed, he should have dinked out over as well, and the other one was. The other one was just a quality, simple pass in the bottom corner. But I just think they've got enough lads in there that can score goals for them. It's just a matter of if they can do all right at the back with a patched up defence. And of course, Ipswich are coming into town tomorrow, and they've been the surprise package of the season. And they've got goals all over the pitch. A good attacking team. I'm looking forward to it. They've just carried on from last year, the momentum of promotion, and they've carried on to this year. And they've been a breath of fresh air. I think it'll be a cracking game tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, what a job he's done, Kieran McKenna. Like you say, it's a really tough one to come through with all that money that's in the championship as well. To carry on and continue what they were doing, scoring lots of goals. I'm actually half concerned tomorrow because of the amount of goals that they score, and because of the way that Borough have defended in the last couple of weeks with the injuries and what have you, being a bit unsettled. I think it's going to be a shootout tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you again. I 100% agree with you.
Well, can we get some? Can we get some predictions then for Borough Ipswich tomorrow, gents? John,
I'm going 3-2 Borough. I think it'll be goals again. I do. I think it'll be 3-2.
I do.
3-2.
Higgy,
I'd take a 2-2. But I'm open for a Johnny 3-2.
It's not the first time you've had a 2-2, is it?
All right, Desmond.
Lee?
I remember years ago.
What is the story?
I think it's going to be a high scoring draw. I do. I'm with the lads. I think there'll be plenty goals.
Very good. And Daz, what do you reckon?
I was going to go 3-2 Borough. To be fair, I think it'll be a decent game. I think it'll be open. I think it'll be like a basketball game in all honesty.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, I do.
And we need to talk about Sunderland West Brom tomorrow as well. Mike Dodd's in charge. This is what was asked about him on his press conference today.
In terms of games, West Brom live on TV, and then if you're still there on Tuesday, Leeds, huge game live on TV. They don't come any better.
The club have picked two good games, haven't they? I'm obsessively process focused. So Leeds is all planned for as well. Leeds is all prepared. So regardless of whatever the outcome is, come Saturday afternoon, the plan for Sunday, Monday, leading to Tuesday is in place. And I think my responsibility now is to execute that plan. So I'm looking forward to both games. I'll be honest with you. I feel in a much better spot than where I was previously when I took the team, and feel a lot more self-assured and a lot more confident in terms of where we're going with the team.
Do you think the team are going to be confident going into this game?
There was by the way, there was some sound bites. There was some sound bites in that press conference,
wasn't there? Yeah.
They were flying everywhere.
Oh, by the way, what happens if you get 3 injuries? You can't have everything planned, can you already?
I was just going to say exactly the same. How can you plan ahead? Do you know what I mean? I think you just got to take it game by game, especially when obviously you're interim manager at the time. Obviously he touched on last time wasn't his greatest spell. But hopefully, he gets a better response from the players this time. I have a feeling that the players will obviously want to prove a point. I hope, and obviously the shock departure of Tony Mowbray hasn't affected them too much. But it's going to be an interesting, let's say, next couple of games really, to be honest, to see what reaction we get, not only from the players but from the fans as well.
I think,
what are you going for, Daz?
First, I think Sunderland will lose, and I think because the players will be very upset, emotional, confused. The young players, I think they've got loads of respect for Tony, and they'll be hurt what's happened. They'll not understand what's gone on. The crowd, if things don't go particularly well, could get a little bit anxious and start venting. A little bit of frustration towards the board, the director's box, and I think it'll be a tough few weeks until they get this proper head coach in. So I think and West Brom is just come into the playoffs, so I think it's unfortunately a loss for Sunderland tomorrow.
I think it's a tough time, isn't it? Let's be honest, but I've got to stay strong, and I've got to stay with it, with the club and the players, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, but I think it's going to be a very tight game.
Yeah, John, what do you think?
A massive few days coming up. I mean, if you look at it, they're not bottom of the table teams, West Brom and Leeds. I mean, West Brom are sat 5th, Leeds 3rd. The two of them in the playoff positions. It's a tough game. I think West Brom will beat them. I do. I'm with Lee about the players' reaction. Will it be positive? I'm not so sure. So I'm going to win the West Brom. I can't see Sunderland score.
And Higgy?
I'm going 2-1 West Brom. I don't think Sunderland will beat them.
Oh dear. Right, well, we've got a minute left, guys, so we need some predictions for Tottenham Newcastle as well. We'll start off with Clarkey. What do you think?
My heart's saying Newcastle win, but my head's saying I'll take a draw straight away with the impact of the injuries, unless something happens and we quickly get a couple of players back.
So you're taking a draw?
Yes.
Daz, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I was going to go for a draw as well, to be quite honest. I'll go 1-1.
All right, John?
Well, Newcastle done 1-2-1 down there last year. I just think because injuries a wee bit different, but I'm going to draw 2-2.
And Higgy?
2-8.
I'm having a miserable week this week because I'm going Tottenham win. I think Tottenham will win 2-1.
Well, listen, guys, thank you so much.
If I am
tell you what, lads, we're right. Tell you what, lads, we're right. Grinches. This Christmas party's going to be laughing minute, isn't it?
I tell you what,
you can only say what you think, mate.
Like you're a Grinch with that Tutu on, aren't you, pal?
I can't understand your Scottish accent.
Listen, guys, thanks very much. Have a fabulous weekend. All the best.
Cheers, guys.
All the best, lads.
All the best.
Bye.